Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Lodi High podcast in the 2023-2024 school year. I'm today's host, Theodore Simpson, and we have a very special first guest.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jesus Marron, and I am the principal at Lodi High School.
So I'm going to start off asking you a few questions. First off, where did you grow up?
Well, I'm originally from a small town in the central coast of California, Greenfield, California, which is near King City. Very small town, probably population 20,000. Now, before it was about 8,000, so very small town. We actually didn't have a high school, so we had to travel to King City. It's about 8 miles south of Greenfield, and so that's where I went. I went to King City High School, and it's home of the Mustangs. That's where I grew up.
Oh. Why did you decide on this career path?
Well, that's a very reflective question. So for me, I would say that as a kid, I think when I was in elementary, I liked teaching. I think I used to like going to school. I'll be honest with you. I used to like going to school as a kid, and so I had some good teachers when growing up, and so I think that kind of influenced me to get into education. Not necessarily was it my first choice, but I enjoy working with kids. I enjoy working with students, and so for me, I started originally working for the migrant education program when I was in community college in Hartnell, in Salinas, and so what I would do is I would go to migrant camps, and I would go to multiple schools, high schools and middle schools, and I would tutor, and I would be working with students, with migrant ed students. And so from there, I just started enjoying more being in the classroom and seeing what teachers did, how they would plan, and some of the challenges also in schools. And so from there, I kind of decided to pursue education. And from there, I started working in multiple schools, doing positions, doing a lot of subbing, and then I ended up going to school at Sac State. And so at Sac State, I worked for a program called CAMP, California Advising Migrant Program, and from there, I continued to work in schools and doing subbing, tutoring, and so that kind of led my path into to being a teacher, counselor, and an administrator. So it all triangulated, all came together.
Yeah. Adding on to that, what's your favorite teacher that you've ever had?
I could say that it's Mr. Salgado. He was my fifth grade teacher. He was a retired, I think he was retired Navy or Army Reserve. And he really brought to the classroom a life experience. And he was very student-oriented, where kids, they felt comfortable going to class and would listen to his stories. But the same token, he was very academically inclined for students to learn and go to college. But he also gave you that life experience of, you don't have to go to you don't have to go to college. You could do also career or even military. And so that's definitely a teacher who influenced me a lot. And so throughout high school, I did keep in touch with him. Now, as an adult, I don't know where Mr. Salgado is, but definitely he's one of those teachers that influenced me a lot during my career. So yeah,
That's wonderful. So you sort of mentioned it before, but tell me about your academic journey.
Yeah, I could say that in high school, King City High School was very similar to Lodi High. It's a small town. I mean, Lodi is obviously bigger than King City, but the same type of classes available. I was a college-bound student, but my father was also is a mechanic, and so I had to decide which pathway I wanted to do. Either pursue college or stay in the arts of agriculture or mechanics. And so I have experience in that. I have experience in ag. I have experience in welding, construction, and so. But ultimately, I ended up deciding to pursue college, and so I ended up graduating from King City High School in 1996, a long time ago. And then from there, I went to CSU Northridge, which is in San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. Well, It's south of Los Angeles, north of Los Angeles. And so from there, I went there for 2 years. Ended up deciding that it was not for me. And then I came back home. And then from there, I continued to go to school at Hartnell Community College. And then from there, I transferred to Sacramento State. And from there, I decided to stay there many years. Ended up getting my bachelor's in exercise science. From there, I ended up pursuing teaching and then also counseling. And then I became an administrator. So in a nutshell, Sac State is my home. I did all my education there. I've worked at multiple schools throughout. And so now I'm here.
Yeah. What previous job experience do you have?
Like I mentioned, I have a lot of experience from working in schools. But prior to that, I was also a mechanic. Also did some construction work in the summers. I also worked as a forklift driver. And so I would do whatever I could to make monies, especially growing up as a kid in an ag town, you could say. And so I have experience in everything. Even to this day, I still work on my own cars, fix my own cars. And so, it's a passion for me. But yeah, that's kind of my experience as far as jobs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is this your first time being a principal?
No, this is really my third school, you could say. Mm-hmm. Originally, I was at Santa Teresa High School. But it was a unique position because before I became an actual principal, I was also an assistant principal. But I was also in charge of a continuation school. Continuation school, about almost 200 kids. And so I ran that school, but at the same token, I was an assistant principal. So in a nutshell, you could say I've been a principal almost 3 times. And so it's been a different experience working at a comprehensive high school versus working at a continuation school. But in a nutshell, it's all about working with students, meeting student needs and having them graduate from high school and, seeing them grow as students. So, yeah.
Why did you choose to work at Lodi High?
Well, I was looking for opportunity of growth. And in researching Lodi Unified School District, I saw that opportunity. And so, I did my research, just like everyone should when you're applying for a job or looking to transition in your careers. Do your research and see what is most benefit for you. And see what you can bring to the table. And so for me, I saw that Lodi Unified had multiple positions in administration. And I saw that it was very diverse. And for me, I think that's very important that if you're going to work anywhere, that diversity is respected and diversity is accepted. And so I bring a lot of that. And so I felt that coming to this district and working at this school, definitely I have something to offer. And also have a lot to learn. So definitely it's the place to be for me. I like it here. I enjoy it. I've learned a lot already the past couple of months. And so small city is very different than a large city, right? Yeah. And so, but at the same token, it's all about working with people. And in the end, you have to build relationships. And so, yeah.
What do you like about Lodi High so far?
So far, I enjoy everything. I think, like I said, it's a small city. What I do like the most is that you speak with someone and then they say, "Well, my sibling also graduated from Lodi High." You speak with an adult, "Oh, I also graduated from Lodi High." So there's a lot of social capital, you could say.
Yeah, that a lot of people have a lot of history here.
Yes, and so that's great. And so for me, I've listened to stories of maybe 30 years ago or 20 years ago, and so for me that's awesome because that makes you want to come back. And there's also a lot of teachers who graduated from here. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of social capital, meaning that people want to come back and work at their high school.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting. I did have some of that in my previous school, but not so much as Lodi. And so for me, that means that this is a great place. If you want to work somewhere, that means people want to come back here and share their experience. So for me, that's definitely a positive. So Lodi High School has a lot of that, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you participate in any extracurriculars when you were younger?
I did, but it was kind of difficult because at the same time I was also working, and so I'll share this. At the age of 10, you could say that I was already working because my dad had a shop, and so my dad would take me to work on the weekends and the summers. And he also told me that after school I needed to go and help him out. So for me, I started working at a very young age, but I was also involved in sports. And so for me, I was involved in multiple things. I did baseball, I also did wrestling in high school, also did football. And I also tried to be in a band. I learned the drums. And so unfortunately that was short lived. And so this is in the 90s. So you're talking like, 92. And so, music back then was changing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go too much into that, but I definitely music had a lot of influence on me during the '90s. I still love music. A lot of the alternative music now, and so I was involved in that, and so from there, I just I ended up finding my own way, and so. But yeah, I was involved in sports. But like I said, I also enjoyed music. I wanted to be in a band. I was in a band, and high school band, and so it didn't really work out. But yeah, that's kind of my background in high school. And then you graduate from high school, and you end up going to college, and you have to focus on on growing. And so yeah.
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 What are your favorite bands?
Nowadays I can't pronounce any bands now, but back in the '90s, Soundgarden, some alternative. I would say Metallica. Also, a lot of bands, Spanish rock bands, you could say, Caifanes, Jaguares, and so that's some of the music I would listen to. I still do a little bit, and so yeah,
Can you tell me about your immediate family?
yeah. So I have three kids. I have a high schooler who just graduated. I would say high schooler. He's a college student now, and then I have a daughter who is going into high school. This is her freshman year, and she actually just started last week. And I also have a second grader. She also just started second grade. So, that's my family. My wife's also at home, and so
Are you close to your family?
I'm very close, especially now. Social media, Facebook, all that stuff. Growing up in the '90s or 2000s, that wasn't around. So a lot of conversation. Now it's a text. Now it's a FaceTime or a Skype or whatever whatever there is now. But yeah, very close to my family. Yeah.
You already sort of mentioned that you like music, but what are your hobbies and interests?
I'll be honest with you. I don't have many. I think right now is just trying to be a father, be a principal, be involved in as many activities as I can with my kids. And so, yeah, I really don't have much hobbies or interests. I do like working on cars, so you could say. I do have a 1971 Plymouth Roadrunner that my father gave me when I was in high school, and I've been working on that slowly. It's not drivable, but that's definitely a hobby that I have, and whenever I have time, I do try to work on it. Just not restore, but just get it to drive, and so hopefully soon I'll be able to finish that. But that's definitely one thing that I take advantage of is just to focus whenever I can and work on that. So yeah.
This is more of an academic question. If you could recommend one book to all students, what would it be?
So I was thinking about that question, and I said, well, I'll be honest with you. One book for me that stands out. It's not so much academic, but it's more of it's a personal growth book that I recall reading when I was in my master's program, when I was doing my counseling degree, and it's called The Four Agreements. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz, and so it's based on the Toltec philosophy, which is an ancient civilization in South America. And so basically, what it talks about is four agreements. The first one is to be impeccable with your word. The second one is don't take things personally. The third one is don't make assumptions. And the last one is always do your best. And so I recall reading this book. It's a very short book, but for me, it really stands out because it kind of puts things in perspective in regards to day to day in your life, or even as a student. When you're gonna do something, make sure you always do your best, even though it might not be the best, but you know that you tried it, right? don't make assumptions. Try to find out the facts. Try to find out if you really want to know what's happening. Do your own research. I think for yourself, be a critical thinker, right?
Yeah.
And then don't take this personally, which is hard. I know it's hard. It's easy to say, but I think if you practice that more often, you won't fall into little traps or get caught into spider webs that, in the end, impact you as a person. Right? There's so many things going on in day-to-day life. There's so many things going on as a teenager, even as an adult, that you have to focus on what's important, right?
Yeah.
And so, and be impeccable with your word. Meaning, for me, is if you're going to say something, make sure that it's a positive thing. And oftentimes, we all have opinions. And if you have, as I say, if you have nothing good to say, don't say it. Right? And if you have something good to say, make sure it's something that's going to result in what shows your character as a person, as an individual. Mm-hmm. And so, for me, that's a philosophy that I try to practice. I'm not going to say that I practice it, to the best, but definitely it's something that I carry as a person, to always practice that, and as a parent, Mm-hmm. So it's ongoing. So that's a book that I've read. It's a book that I try to practice. It's a philosophy, and so that's what stands out for me. And if as a student, you want to check it out, go ahead and look at it and see if it's something that you might be interested in.
I think that would benefit a lot of people to read that and follow that.
Yeah.
This question sort of might be the same answer as your previous one, but do you have any advice you'd like to give to the students listening to the podcast?
I would say, take your time. Don't be in a hurry. I know it's easy to say, and when you're a kid, because I was a kid too, you're in a hurry, right, to get somewhere, and you want to get out and you want to do your things, and which is awesome, but that's part of the journey. Part of the journey is to be in the moment, and so that's an advice that I give, not just to you, to students, but also to my own kids. I have a 17-year-old. He just graduated from high school. He's such in a hurry to get things done. I'm like, enjoy it, because you're not always going to be, 17 or 18, 19.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you'll be 21, 22, and then, you'll be paying bills. So enjoy your youth, enjoy your time, enjoy your family, enjoy your parents, guardians, whatever it is, and enjoy what you're doing, and it's because, time goes by and you don't get it back. Mm-hmm. So that's that advice. It's just, take it slow, think about it, be reflective in what you do and how you do things, and if it's the best interest for you. Yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been the very first episode of the Lodi High podcast. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Dr. Marron, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.